Coming up on this episode of the Business Stories Podcast.
The freedom that we've now created is really what I class as success.
And the pressure and everything else that we were under on a daily basis was making Trevor very ill.
I've written a book, I just want to finish it. I'm a strong believer in mindset and how it can empower you.
Is there one or maybe two things that you think are common mistakes when people start off that they might make very early in their journey?
Yeah, I think certainly one would be
Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining us. I'm really excited today to have two guests, two for the price of one for a change. I'm joined today by Trevor and Julia Ilott, and their business is TJ Property Mastery. They've built a successful business in property, including serviced accommodation, and more recently they've got into training and academy, and we're going to hear all about that. So they've been helping people to get into the property business. We're going to talk to them about how they got started. We're going to talk to them about their journey on the business, some of the challenges that they've faced, and hopefully we can get some little hints and tips from them along the way. And one of the things that interests me a lot is about the couples dynamic. Obviously, that's something that I've got in common. Shani and I are in business, and Trevor and Julia are a couple in business. So, guys, it's really great to have you. Welcome along to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
Brilliant. Right. Okay. So let's get straight into it, really. Let's start at the beginning. You can probably do a much better introduction to your business than I can. So what exactly is your business?
So we've been running service accommodation, Airbnb style properties for over 5 years now. We went through a lot of property training to find that service accommodation was really a great strategy for us to be working on. It's our bread and butter. It gives us some freedom back, which is what we were really looking for. Our previous jobs where we worked together again, I was Trevor's PA and he was an MD of a pharmaceutical company. And the pressure and everything else that we were under on a daily basis was making Trevor very ill and almost a point of breakdown. So we really wanted to find something new and exciting whereby, we both lost our salaries in one go. It was a big hit for us, but we wanted to make sure that, we could make a go of something.
What exactly is serviced accommodation? How does that compare with, say, a buy-to-let, for example?
So it's like a hotel where you get services such as cleans, linen changes, etc. But with this, you get the whole house. So if you've ever been on an Airbnb holiday where you've been in a whole house, that's exactly what it is. And it's better known as service accommodation, officially known as service accommodation. But I think most people in the general public will know it as Airbnb style properties or holiday lets.
So you said that was something that you didn't go straight into the service. You started in the buy-to-let and then that was a natural progression, was it?
That's correct, yes. So we had our buy-to-lets for about 3 or 4 years, and it wasn't until we started our training that we realised that there were other strategies, and I think it's 11, 12 different types of strategies you can do in property now. So it was a big learning curve for us. But the fact that you rent your property out now on a nightly basis rather than a monthly basis, that is why it's so lucrative. So you're literally doing the whole house for one night rather than one room or a whole let for a month.
And so do you have quite a sort of a varied and sizable portfolio? How has that gone?
When we first started, as Julia said, we had 2 buy-to-lets that we then decided to try them out as serviced accommodation, and they both became available at the same time. We had them on a long-term buy-to-let, and they were generating a nice little passive cash flow income, but only a couple £100 a month. And so we decided one of them needed redoing out completely, so we got a new kitchen and everything, and we decided to test it as serviced accommodation, so we knew the buy-to-let would work if serviced accommodation didn't, because we already had it as that. So we tested those, they went really well. We then discovered a strategy that goes along with that, was rent to rent, where you don't actually have to own a property. You can rent it off a landlord and then rent it back out again to corporate clients. And so we basically bought 2 more on then. And then we agreed a contract and we needed an extra 11 houses. And we had to go out fast and sharp to get these 11 houses. So through the rent to rent strategy, within 10 weeks, we managed to find ourselves another 11 houses.
That must have been quite a high pressure moment to try and get that amount of properties in that short space of time, surely.
Yes, absolutely. But I mean, that's where Trevor and I worked really well together, and we were working to each other's strengths. We were going into the letting agents together, and building those relationships up with them very quickly. They obviously knew of us. We already had a website up and running, so they could see how professional we were.
And it sounds like you've just gone from strength to strength with everything that you've been doing. Is that right?
What it's given us over those years is amazing, and I'm sure Julia will tell you. I'm not sure if you know that we've actually been able to do flip projects, so buy, refurb, resell, because of that. Appeared on Julia's favourite programme, Homes Under the Hammer, a couple of times. So, it's really opened our eyes to what can be done.
Yeah, that was something I was going to mention a bit later on. Actually, I was looking at you guys online, and I see that you're kind of mini TV stars in your own right. And you, you've been on 2 or 3 times, haven't you? How did that come about?
Because we actually purchased the house through an auction company. The auctioneer guy got on really well with us, had a few laughs and everything else, and he said, I really think that you two should go on Homes Under the Hammer, and would you mind if we put your name forward for? So obviously we did.
You've created this academy or coaching business out of that, have you?
Yeah, it's a natural progression that we felt, that now we've got the experience, that we could now be able to help other people create great business, get it automated, and think outside the box.
Do you guys help complete newbies that have no knowledge? Is that the sort of people that you would take on?
Yeah, I think that's our main focus. We do have other programs where people that have been doing it for a little bit longer and just need to then scale. We have that facility, but our main focus is to try and help people get out of their 9 to 5 sort of doldrums jobs, so that they can then be masters of their own destiny, so to speak. Like we were, we were in great jobs, but it was tying us down. The pressure was horrendous, and we had no time to ourselves. So we discovered this, and we thought, well, why can't we show people there is another way, so they can get out of this, this situation that they might be in.
Did you kind of, when you started this journey, did you have all this sort of mapped out, or is this sort of just a natural progression, and you've kind of just gone off on the different tangents, and the business has evolved? How's it come to this point?
But it wasn't something that we necessarily had mapped out on a business plan as such, because Julia, her real passion was the flips, like the Homes Under the Hammer sort of properties. And we tried various strategies, and they all work, but some are easier to work than others. And that's when we discovered serviced accommodation. So, that was more, we stumbled across that, but it then became an avenue for us to then start to do some flips. And now, because of that, we can now do the training. So it's been a natural progression of growth, rather than we're going to do this and we're going to do that. I mean, I'm amazed at anybody that says they have their business plan and it stays exactly as they wanted it for 5 years. But there might be some people out there, but I don't know of any.
Yeah, I mean, you do get people like that, don't you? That they set out, they start a business, they have a 5-year plan, whether that's to exit or whether that's to float it or whatever they do, and somehow they manage to stick to it. But I think you guys are certainly living proof that what someone potentially might start with an idea in, or they'll go down a path, you'll go off on tangents and you'll meet new people along the way and you'll get more opportunities. So business can be a real kind of constant evolution, can't it?
And I think the good thing about Trevor and I is we're adaptable as well. We don't get set in our ways. I'm a creative thinker, and I think it drives Trevor mad some days, because all of a sudden I come up with another crazy idea, and it's like, slow down. So we've got a good balance. He's more the analytical person, so if I come up with an idea, Trevor will analyse it and say yes or no or maybe, and then sort of work together, pushing forward. So I think that's where we work really well together as well. We've got opposites attract, as they say, and it sure does in business as well as in relationships.
And so, say someone's listening now and they're just about to start on their journey into property in whatever shape or form it might be, whether it's buy to let or whether it's serviced accommodation. Is there one or maybe two things that you think are common mistakes when people start off that they might make very early in their journey?
Yeah, I think certainly one would be don't try and do everything by yourself, because you will make mistakes, and they could be quite debilitating. I think I've been a great advocate of learning from the best, and whatever avenue that is, I think you need to take help, guidance, and advice, whether that's free advice or paid advice. But equally, don't take advice from family and friends that don't know the business. Take advice from people that do know the business, and they can help guide you.
So you mentioned earlier in your earlier days, you took some training from property professionals and companies that could help you to grow and evolve. What about business training in general? Do you get any kind of coaching or business training even now, for example?
Yes, I mean, funny enough, our first 4 years, possibly, probably in the real sort of going at property full time, was all property training. But now we now take on business training, so it's how to make our business more successful or grow and scale. So we have a business mentor who helps guide us and point us in the right direction of this new startup and growing it, and marketing it, etc., etc. So it covers every aspect rather than just property. It's all about setting up your business and growing it and scaling it, etc.
Absolutely. No, I agree with that as well. I mean, there's obviously so many different types of people in business, and there are the guys that just manage to just crack on and do it. But I think, like you've said, no matter how long you've been in business, if you can take the advice and guidance from a professional, maybe who's got certain knowledge that you guys or you and I don't have, that just propels your business, doesn't it?
Well, I
Yeah.
agree. I think I'll be totally honest with you. Sort of 6 years ago, when I was a MD of a pharmaceutical business, sort of built it from just me to 31 employees, and I thought I knew everything, and I didn't believe in mentors at that time in particular. And I thought, well, what can people teach me? But actually, when we now take on this business training through Adam, it's basically I realise I hardly know anything. And I think that's the case. You don't know, life. You need to treat life as a continuous learning curve.
In terms of you guys and how you deal with stuff on a daily basis, obviously a lot of being in business, whatever industry you're in, it all stems back to the owner or the owners and how they approach things and how they think about things and their mindset. Do you guys sort of think that the mindset part of it is a big part of how successful a business owner is?
Again, 6 years ago, I was very skeptical about mindset. I used to think, oh, it's all Americanized mumbo jumbo. I have since learned that actually mindset is incredibly important. So much so that actually, would you believe that I teach that on our courses now, or as part of the training, because I am a real advocate of having the right mindset, having that positive mindset. They say write something down and it will happen. It's not because it will just happen. It's because when you write it down and you believe it will happen, you then do more to make it happen. And I'm a strong, strong believer in mindset, and how it can empower you to drive you forward. So without a doubt, you'd agree, Julia, that
Yeah,
I've
how much
completely
you've
flipped.
changed. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the same. I mean, I've gone on a bit of a journey recently in podcasts and books and all sorts of literature on exactly that topic. You can just spend so long researching it, and I like the actual proven methods behind some of it in changing your mindset, changing your thought processes and stuff like that. And for me, certainly, yeah, like you've said, that that is sort of the basis for driving you forward in your business. So I agree with everything you're saying there. Absolutely.
Does your business send parcels, pallets, or freight within the UK? Dash Couriers is an award-winning, nationwide delivery service with a passion for excellent customer service and a wide range of vehicles available for speedy pickup anywhere across the UK. Contact Dash Couriers today at www.dashcouriers.co.uk.
In terms of the dynamic of you guys as in a couple in business, as I said earlier, would you say from your point of view that having a couple? Is that a good thing? Does that work? Is that an advantage, do you think?
I felt then I took charge and I took the lead and I became quite bossy. He became my assistant so quickly. And the dynamics really changed and it actually upset our apple cart really quickly. So the gentleman actually came in and did some mentoring with us. And he said, work together during the week and then go on a Friday, which was our day, wasn't it? Where we used to go off site and have a meeting, like in a little AGM every week, and discuss how we'd work together during the week and what the dynamics were, and if someone had, annoyed each other. As it was in a public place, he said, you won't start an argument, you'll sit there, discuss it, and you take minutes. And I tell you what, from that moment, it was life changing for Trevor and I because I realised that I'd taken the wrong step, and sometimes he was taking the wrong step as well. And again, I think when we first started, we were almost competing against each other. It's like, oh, I want to make this call, and oh, I want to do this, and because we were both learning, we hadn't really learned each other's weaks and strengths. And now we've propelled our business really quickly, and we know each other's strengths and weaknesses, and we work at those. And two heads is far better than one. And again, also like the positive mindset Trevor was saying about that, if one of you get down for the day or nothing's going your way, then the other person can give you a massive uplift. Vice versa, if someone's getting too beyond their means, like sometimes Trevor drags me back again and says, let's concentrate on this and, one stage at a time. So I think now we work really, really well together and understand each other's good and bad strengths, don't we?
And I've got to ask, so that people at home can find it, is the dynamic the same at home? Does someone wear the trousers at home and not in the business, or is that?
I think you know the answer to that one. I think we have it's quite funny because we do have a nice, easy relationship in that respect. And of course, being so close together in the business and personally, it can cause tension occasionally.
Yeah.
Julia's the driving force, I think, in the business. She's always been my driving force. She's the person that gives me the kick up the derriere that I need. That also happens in our personal life as well. I think.
So,
I think we all need that sometimes, don't we? We all need to kick up the arse sometimes.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah. And I think also we're lucky to have similar interests. I mean, we've started up golf games sort of 18 months ago. We're actually having a golf lesson last night.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to be able to have that work-life balance. And we've always said that it's so important. Once you put our pens down, we've got a converted garage in our garden, that once that's done, we stop talking about work, because otherwise you can take it back into the house with you, and that evening all you're doing is talking about work, and you then don't feel like you're escaping from it.
That's great. I mean, if you can do that, as a couple, if you can get indoors and switch off from the business, that's a massive advantage. And that's not easy for some people to do. Even myself, you will find these little conversations creeping in about something that happened during the day or something that needs to be sorted out for tomorrow. But no, I mean, hats off to you if that's something you guys have got sussed out. That's brilliant.
We still do discuss those sort of things
But
occasionally.
we let it take over, do we? We'll write it on a piece of paper and say, right, that's a discussion for tomorrow. All comes into my head.
Moving on to downtime then, and sort of hobbies and stuff like that, what would you say, what's your idea of a perfect day off? If you can just switch off from work, turn the phone off, spend some time together or not together, as the case may be, what do you guys do as an ideal day off?
So part of our personal goal is to have more holidays. I've written a book. I just want to finish it, get it out there properly. But equally golf. And as Julia said, we have a coach that we actually wanted to learn how to do golf a little bit better than just thrashing around the course. So for us, it's golf, time out, holidays. But equally, the other day, I think it was Sunday, we were a little bit bored. We thought, I don't want to sit at home. And we're members of the National Trust. So we went, right, let's find a National Trust place near us and go there. So we just did it. We dropped the hat, no plans. And that's lovely, just having that freedom to be able to say, right, let's go and do something different rather than just sit there. So I think for me, it's the freedom of choice that allows us to do whatever we want to do is my ideal day off.
When you are busy and doing your stuff and making decisions and spending thousands of pounds on properties, sometimes it's just the simple little things in life that that means such a lot when you're away from the business, isn't it? Like you say, just getting out and getting some fresh air and going for some walks and that sort of thing. That means a lot more.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've been fostering dogs. We haven't done one for a few months now because the business has sort of gone a little bit too forward and busy at the moment. But that was another thing that was our absolute passion. And so we've been helping, local charity, rehome dogs. And again, we wouldn't have been able to do that if we'd been in our 9-to-5 job because you couldn't stay at home, look after them, and help them be rehomed. So it's another passion, isn't it?
Julia's told you that because she just wants to drop in the fact we've been on another television program.
I saw that, but I wasn't going to mention it. I didn't want your head to get too big.
But at least Trevor was on that one as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's why Trevor mentioned it, because he was on that one. Okay.
Well, it opened our
Yes.
eyes to the fostering. That's when we
Yeah.
first realised about fostering. So we became, it's Wood Green Animal Sanctuary, we became their first fosterers in the Peterborough area. And we sort of proved ourselves that we were really sort of caring and also good at training problem dogs.
Maybe an idea for another business venture in the future then, to do with dogs,
Oh,
perhaps.
Would love it.
Definitely,
Would love
yes.
to one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Travel with dogs in camper van would be ideal.
So thinking about, the business in general, obviously people's ideas and aspirations of sort of looking ahead to the future and if they've got an end goal or if they've got a target, people might say, I'm going to be successful when I've made £1 million, or I'm going to be successful when I can go out and buy a brand new Range Rover, or whatever it may be. What does success look like for you guys? What does it mean to be successful and to reach the place that you've got set in your goals?
It's the freedom,
Yeah.
more than anything. Like you were saying earlier, we go for walks and we're going for a walk at 8-9 o'clock in the morning when you see people sat in traffic going to work. We're completely out of that routine. We can work when we want, how we want.
But yeah, just to add to that, another mentor I had years ago in the previous life, when I got my Jaguar company car, we had a nice big 5-bedroom family home, and he said all this stuff becomes insignificant after a while. And I thought, what? You're joking. So anyway, we got a vision board here, and I've got an Aston Martin on my vision board because that was my dream. I want to get an Aston Martin. But actually, over the last 5 years or so, I'm thinking, do I really want to sort of do that? Do I really want to not waste that money? But is that really that important to me nowadays? And actually, my whole attitude towards it has changed. So, as much as I'd love to have an Aston Martin, it's not now my reason for getting up in the morning. It's just the freedom that we've now created is really what I class as success.
It's interesting to hear people's ideas of success and their goals. One or two people I've been reading, studying recently, really famous people in their own right, and one of them has said, he's got 15 cars in the garage, for example, and he keeps buying cars because he sets this goal of, I'm going to be, happy and content when I get a red Ferrari, for example. So he goes out and gets the red Ferrari and he drives it for a few days, and it either gets boring, or it hasn't fulfilled what he thought it would. So you always seem to be chasing that goal, and I think it comes from deeper within, doesn't it? That kind of, like you say, that satisfaction of achievement. It's not necessarily in material things, is it?
No, and I think Trevor and I are far from materialistic, and we love our travelling. So, as I said, one day, what we want is our camper van to travel, and maybe YouTube phenomenal then. I don't know, but yeah, it's more about the travelling and seeing the world rather than having 15 cars that I can only drive one at a time anyway.
So if anyone's listening and they've been inspired by your story and they'd like to get into some form of property on whatever level, where would you say, how would they get started if they've got, apart from attending one of your training classes, obviously, but, if they wanted to go on their own and make that first step, what would they do to get off the starting blocks?
Just do it, because you won't know if it's right for you unless you do it. You can sit there and what if all the time. So you've got to look at what it is that you want to achieve, and whether that's have a property empire, like you just said, the guy with the 15 cars, or whether you just want to earn a nice little steady income, generating cash flow, or whether you want to have, the capital growth. So there's so many different variables. You just got to look at yourself, ask yourself, what do I want to achieve? And then maybe, there's so many different places you can research on the internet. You could Google HMO training or property training. There's so many different things that, obviously it will give you an idea of what is achievable. Then you've got to look at, oh, okay, I like the sound of that. I want to maybe look into that a bit further. Doesn't necessarily mean to say do training. It's just, you can get a few tips and hints, and then maybe go out there and start that journey.
So maybe sort of a calculated risk that's not going to be too dangerous, and then face the fear and like you say, get it action, because if you're not going to follow it up and make that first step, it's never going to happen, is it?
That's exactly right. And going back to the original thing, as Richard Branson say yes and figure it out later. I think that's definitely a brilliant mantra to have.
And are there any people either in business or in the celebrity world, or any sort of inspirations that you guys sort of have followed or try to be like?
Yeah, we'll learn from different people. I think in the previous pharmaceutical business, my boss stroke mentor was the person I learned from, and you'll strive to be like him, even if it's not a conscious decision. And I think my inspiration personally has always been my mum, who's sadly no longer with us. But equally, I'm going to sort of whisper this just in case she hears it, but Julia also. The reason why I continue to do what I do is not just for me, it's mainly for Julia. But my mum brought me up in the right mental attitude, and because of her, I am who I am, and therefore, for me, she's the biggest inspiration. Not necessarily business, but just in life.
One thing you mentioned, and you're looking up to people that are perhaps further down the journey than you are, and that's who you kind of aspire to be. But also, don't forget where you guys are in the journey, and how many people are at the beginning, and they're looking up to you guys. And obviously, I can see that's exactly why you've created the academy, and you're bringing these people because they aspire to be in your position.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more actually. And sometimes we have to sit back and, they always say, I mean, especially with this 12-week calendar that Trevor was saying about, we repeat over the spreadsheet for our 12-week goals, and we then look back where we were 12 weeks ago. And it's incredible how far our journey has come, and then we work for our next 12 weeks. And, almost you're doing 12 weeks in 1 year, sorry, that way around. So you prepare yourself and you realise you've just got to reflect. It's always good to reflect, because otherwise sometimes if you come across a stumbling point and you don't feel like you're going to get any further, just look back, say, actually, we did achieve this and we can achieve more. Keep going, keep on that driving pedal.
Congratulate yourself for the small wins, even if it's daily, because like you say, it's easy to miss, isn't it, when you get wrapped up in everything. And then when you actually look back across the week, you could think, well, actually, on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I achieved this. But yeah, and like you say, absolutely make sure that you keep a track of that, and you're congratulating yourself.
Well, whenever we do have a win, and in fact we've done it once, maybe twice today, I can't remember, we just give each other a little high five, even if it's a poorly win. And it's something that just, that's a tiny little celebration. It actually instills that into you. It's like, yeah, celebrate that win. I mean, we used to, when we had a bigger win, we used to go out for a meal and celebrate.
We still do.
We still do. But I don't need the excuse.
Yeah, no. A lot of our photos, I was doing my iCloud today, and I was like, how many photos of food, Trevor? How many times do we go out for a meal? But that is our little win, and we love doing that because it's celebration.
That's it. You've got to do what makes you happy, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day, isn't it?
We've realised that we've had all these goals, shall we say, over these 12 weeks. But when you reach that goal, you don't really jump for joy and run around sort of, hey, you go, okay, what's next?
Yeah, it's not like that's the end finish point, is it? And you can then just sit back and enjoy your Ferrari, because then you still want more and you still want to progress further.
That's it, exactly right.
So just before we wrap up then, I mean, it's been really good to find out about you guys and learn your journey and sort of what drives you. And it's very inspirational. And I'm sure that there'll be lots of people that want to get in touch and maybe sign up with some training with you guys, is there anything that you've got going on, any products or anything that you'd like to talk about and tell people about before we go?
Yeah, I mean, our next course actually that we've got booked at the moment is Friday the 16th and Saturday 17th of February. So that's not too far away. We've still got a couple of spaces. So yeah, if anybody wants to take that first leap of faith and come and see what service accommodation is all about, we're running it in Peterborough.
And finally, so if people do want to get in touch with you, what's the easiest way for them to reach out?
Probably on our
on our
website.
emails,
It's tjpropertymastery.co.uk.
And also events at tjpad.co.uk. So
Perfect.
email.
Yeah.
And I presume you guys are on LinkedIn as well, if anyone wants to connect with you on there.
Facebook, Instagram, we're there pushing ourselves as much as we can. So yes.
Brilliant. That's great. Well, look, guys, I'm really pleased that you could join us today, and thank you so much. And I'm sure that there's going to be so many people that have taken some knowledge and some, something away from this to help them in their future. And I'll catch up with you again soon. And thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, and thank you very much for the invitation. It was really kind, and look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Thank you. It's been amazing, and thank you for allowing us to come and tell everybody what we do.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys. I'll speak to you soon.
Super. Thank you. Bye-bye.